Good evening, chat. Hello. It is Thursday night. It is time for the Thursday night show because otherwise, what the hell are we doing here? Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. It would be maybe funny and maybe a little weird, but I'm not sure how much. But either way, we're here now, chat. We're gonna do this. So welcome to the Thursday night show, everybody. My name is Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and tonight we've got well, we're still in the middle of the Karen Reed trial, so this isn't going to be a super long show. I know I said that last week, but it wasn't. I will let everybody know on locals. We are not going to do locals tonight. I will make it up to you this weekend, probably Sunday night. We'll do some local zings, just to kind of even everything out. I got you. I got to take care of you guys, but we will not do locals tonight because we have to finish up part 2 of the Karen Reed trial today. People told me it is really fucking good. And, pretty much like there's a big revelation at the end, and I kind of want to see it. I mean, I know people over Twitter are losing their minds. I don't know what it was about yet. I avoided it intentionally so I can learn along with you guys. So, slowly make my way to owning 13 local streams. Well, I've been pretty good about them before. Jason J is saying, is Ohio actually going to vote to abolish qualified immunity? Yes, it is going to be on the ballot. So at the state level, qualified immunity is probably going to go bye-bye, which is a good thing. We're going to talk about another base thing Ohio may put on the ballot soon. We'll take a look at that. Because it's going to be great. What's going to happen. But guys, tonight we are live tonight on YouTube and Rumble. Guys, Rumble should be up and running. Let me know. And then last but not least, we are live on locals. And guys, I know I just mentioned about locals. Locals is kind of like the everything we wanted Patreon to be, but it never turned out to be. So potentiallycriminal.locals.com. You can join us there and get to hang out. It's free to join. You can post on the wall, be part of the community. We do quite a bit there. Like if Mr. Medicare is doing a stream, we'll stream snipe that. If there's times where like Formula One's going on, we'll watch that and hang out. I think they're live this weekend. Hold on. Where's Formula One schedule this week? Yes, they are at let's see here. Oh, the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. So they are up in the heart of Italy racing this weekend. It'll be great. It'll be great there, chat. So we will watch that. That'll be a fun time as well. And then if you join and support, if you guys support, you can become a supporter for $3 a month. You pay for 10 months. You get 2 months free. You get access to the live shows. And as I said, we normally do one Monday nights, and then we do one right after this show. But because of the Karen Reed trial, guys, she's kind of eating up. Karen Reed's killing everything, chat. She's ruining it all. She ruined John O'Keefe. And look what she did. She ruined the local streams. That bitch. Anyways, I'm just kidding about the Karen Reed part, but she is actually like the trial's kind of eating it up. But we are going to watch that tonight. We will not do locals. I am sorry. I will make it up over the weekend to you guys, and then we'll be going from there. So you will survive. Oh, all good on Rumble? Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to let you people know. Because I care about you guys. But we normally do it. And if you guys want to join and get the free supporter access, use the promo code WHIPIT and you get 1 month free access. Remember, that's WHIPIT with an I, not an E. Because a male whippet, a whippet with an E is a dog, a smaller version of a greyhound, basically. An English racing dog. Whippet with an I is the nitrous delivery system. Angel says, you people? Yes, you people. Yes, very much you people. Yes, you guys can see Louis wandering around here. And real quick, I think he wants to... Clyde tried to jump up and Louis blocked him. Anyways, we got our mascot tonight here. He's checking in on everybody's chat. So, see, look, there you go. You got Louis' face. There. See, he poked his face up on screen. So let's see here. All right, Clyde, how are you doing, Bubba? You're such a good boy. If you guys are new, this is Clyde. He's my dog. He's such a good boy. Anyway, chat, we have a lot to talk about tonight. There's all kinds of funny stuff. That's a big doggo. Yes, it is. It's a Bernedoodle. So it's like the Bernese dog and a doodle. So he's huge. Shave him. Yeah, no. Louis got groomed. When we had him earlier, we had him last week. The groomers came through. It's when Clyde got his haircut. So they all got groomed. We got him groomed too, along with it. And it's so funny because Louis got like the white on his paws, and it goes up like 2 or 3 inches. So he looks like he's wearing socks, and they're on all 4 legs, and it looks like it was designed that way. It's fucking hilarious. So it's he like little cute. He's got socks when he runs around. It's kind of funny. Clyde, I'm gonna set you down, okay, Bubba Bear? I gotta set you down because I got stuff to do. All right. Hold on, Louie. Watch out. I want you guys to fight. And get a little too friendly at the sniffing. Okay. So it's the Bernese Mountain Dog. It's a pain in my butt to have a Bernese Mountain Dog. Yeah, he's a bit of a slobber machine, and he is big. After having a little while of just Clyde and Laney and no more Baxter, for me having a big dog in a while, he is a bit of a handful. Like, you know, the house is little dog proofed. Had to make sure all the counters and everything were cleaned off. Tread says, if I kept up with Carl Jobs, yes, he has been getting mogged so hard by Billy Mitchell. Also, apparently, Carl's allegedly filed for bankruptcy. So, oof. Let's see here. So I think we're all set, guys. We got a couple minutes, but all the dogs are in the room. No, Laney is not in the room. Laney is eating food. Okay, are they really? They're like fucking. They decide like, oh, we're gonna do this right behind the fat man while he's working, and trying to like do his thing. Hey, oi, go out in the hallway and be goobers. Louis is a big head. Everything about Louis is huge. And he's still a puppy. He's only like 11 months old. So when you pet him, he's just like, oh my God. And he's just all spurging out. Oh, God designed him that way. Yes. Mm. You blame Clyde for all sorts of things. Well, there you go. Well, that's what happens. What happens when 2.0 isn't home? They're not humping. They're actually like, they're like playing. So is Lainey doing all right? I think she's doing better. Like she eats food, but she still like sits on the couch and doesn't do anything. So she doesn't do anything there. So rest in peace, Baxter. Yeah. Yep, but he's in a better place now. He was in a lot of pain, so it's good. It's good. All right, we got a couple of things here, chat. Nico for $5 says, sorry to see you didn't get the titular role in the John Madden biopic. There's a John Madden biopic that was getting produced? Oh, who are they going to have him do it? Like Frank Caliendo? That would be kind of interesting. That would be kind of interesting there. That would be hilarioso. Where is... Well, I can't find what I'm looking for there. Hold on here. There we go. Now they're out in the hallway fighting, which makes more sense. So here we go. All right, so we've got this. All right, so let's get started. Oh, we got more to get through here real quick. But thank you, Nico. Oh, Chin Up, you still hang around like an old bologna sandwich to us in chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. Agbio Chemist says the Ohio State men's basketball coach got an OVI charge. Well, that as one tends to do in Ohio. Matty B, who's been a member for 10 months, says, Sean, thanks for who I met in your base chat. Dinosaurs. Does that mean like meme? But yeah, well, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support, man. I appreciate all this time. And T-Rex Trucking More says, are we going to go over the SCOTUS oral arguments today? No. I'm going to do that Saturday afternoon. Like mark it down, chat. We're doing it Saturday afternoon. I don't know if Kurt's going to be along or not, but those need to be heard. I heard those were super interesting today, guys. And today went up in front of the Supreme Court was the birthright citizenship case. Obviously, it wasn't only just that, but it was nationwide injunctions, a bunch of things the court was looking at. But that was the case that was heard today. And it was a rare thing. They normally don't do oral arguments in May, but this one was one of them. So they heard it. And yeah, apparently it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. And that's a very cope-laden way of looking at it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. MLS David, how you doing? Saying sup, P. Diddy? Yeah, guys, I guess we'll start there. P. Diddy's trial is on right now, and it is going. Cassie Ventura has been on the stand for a bit now. It's been very, they've been going back and forth. Apparently, there are a lot of text messages that Diddy's attorneys that have introduced, which really draw into question some issues about what was consensual and what wasn't. And there's a lot of questions to it. There's a lot of questions about it. There's a couple people I've been following along with Joe Neerman, for Good Logic doing it. And they've been doing pretty good with it. So that is kind of where we are. There's a lot there, but I do need to take a look at it. Ariel says, I'm still not sure if I have birthright citizenship or if it's statutory. Lol. Well, yes, depending on the situations, you may never, depending on the way and where you were born, because, we have places in America that are technically independent nations. Yeah, there might be some, might be an issue. It's a very interesting thing there. Good to see you, Ariel. Hope you're doing well. Yes, Johnny Somali is also in trial, at this very moment. Apparently, Legal Mindset. Legal Mindset. We gotta give him his due. We got the callback chat.
Legal Mindset. Legal Mindset. Legal dick suckers, more like it.
I don't know about the last part, but the first part was true. Anyway, Mindset's got apparently some of the people he was with them the first time they went to Johnny Somali's hearing. He's got one of his trials today, and they're there watching it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, there's a couple people that are getting ready to go through things. Apparently, Vitali is suffering from heart issues while he's in the jail in the Philippines, which not really surprised there. Cosmo says, is that the Somali black guy? Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're not really any white Somalis, but yes. So his lawyer showed up and Johnny did not. Well, nobody said the guy was smart. Nobody said he was smart. But yes, right now, Mindset's streaming right now. Don't go over there, chat. Stay here. You guys can learn about Mindset, taking an L later. Or, Johnny Somali taking an L later from Mindset. We got stuff we're covering here. All right, guys. So let's get to this. This is probably, I'm going to file this in the based folder. Because I think it's really fucking base what's going to happen here. Ohio is putting qualified immunity on the ballot in November, and then something else based is going to possibly be on the ballot in November. And we're starting off hard, chat. We're starting off hard on this. We're covering one of the big stories first. Ohio voters could vote to eliminate property taxes if the issue makes it on the ballot. Think about how based you know what? Texas, however based you think your states are. Yeah, guess what? If we get rid of property taxes, mega based. And I'm glad you don't want to come here. But think about that. Mega freaking based. So right now, until July, they have the right to secure ballots and signatures to get on the ballot for November. So it repeals property taxes. No more paying rent to the government, chat. No more paying rent to the government. Find you guys prices before that skyrockets. Mods can't delete each other. That's funny. So we will find out. We will find out what happens here. Now, they have to collect 413,487 signatures. by July. Okay, well, that's fine. Now, some of you might say, well, in Ohio, what do the property taxes go to? Well, they're supposed to go to fund school districts is one of the primary means. That's something, though, for over 20 years now, the Ohio Supreme Court has said that is unconstitutional. You have to find a different way to fund schools. And then what did the rest of the state do? Every other state government in Ohio, they all kind of looked at the Supreme Court and said, we're not doing that. We do what. So, have I found out about it yesterday? So I've not had a chance to sign, but I'm going to sign 1,000,000 times. So we will find out what happens. But yes, it's funny because school officials are saying this is unpopular, but you're not supposed to have property taxes anyway. The Supreme Court already told you that. Schools are uneasy over the proposed amendment. Suffer. The Columbus City schools. Well, it's not like, losing property taxes would be significant. You don't educate kids anyway. I was barely educated and I went to public schools. And you know what? When everything was tied to property taxes, I lived out in the middle of nowhere. So guess what? Guess who controlled the property? The farmers. So they would vote everything down. And we never got anything new. We had our school was shitty before by the time I graduated. Everything was falling apart. It took them another 20 years to fix things up in my town. Now it sounds like the schools aren't half bad, but it took for fucking ever. So I'm totally about this. Deanna's saying, don't you think if a ton of people will be moving to Ohio? I don't know. We'll have to drive them out. We'll have to drive all you fuckers out. It's going to be a lottery system. Nobody from California allowed. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great, chat. I mean, get it going there. But yes, if we don't fund property taxes, how are we going to fund education? Who's going to build the roads? My roads. Wow, it's almost like there'll be private solutions available made. Ooh. That'll be interesting. But once again, the Columbus City schools, yeah, they turn out road scholars all the time. Exempt me by your personal referral, right? I don't know about that. David says, I'm moving to Ohio as soon as I shave my vagina. Well, thank you. Mama Sora says, we pay $6,000 in property taxes and another $8,000 to send our son to a private school. Yeah. And Timmy says, I've always dreamed of moving to the Rust Belt. Do it. You're going to love it. Just imagine it. It's just amazing, chat. You will fucking love it. Let me tell you what, buddy. What do Ohio school taxes go towards? We don't have school taxes. Generally, in Ohio, levies for the schools are your property tax. Like, they get tacked on. Peyton says it will not happen in Ohio. Sean, wake up. You know what? A man can dream. Don't you steal the sky away from me, sir. Don't you steal the sky away from me. Right now, I am living high. So, Ohio doesn't have schools. They all homeschool. Well, we're not that bad. So, Ohio doesn't exist. Well, then those taxes sure as fuck exist. Let me tell you what. They definitely. Unlike Boston, I paid as much for my condo in New Jersey that I paid my 2-acre lot in Cali. Well, those both sound very high, so that's not good. Both of those sound awful. Unlike law student, your rent and taxes, that sounds awful. Oh, nobody knows where the lottery money goes. That's true. The lottery money was supposed to fund schools too, but I remember, chat, we didn't have good shit in school. We didn't have good shit usually. So Johnny's wearing all black. Oh, there you go. Fire Knight says we do too. I have to pay them for my hometown in Greene County, like Ohio, Greene County, Kentucky, Greene County, Virginia. I don't know. The only good thing about Ohio is Cincinnati. That's some Copenhagen. That's some Copenhagen right there. That is not it at all. Anyways, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. And this is the big thing here. Ohio is just North Florida. No. How do you think Florida man got there? Florida man migrated from Ohio. We are the original Florida. So don't forget that. Don't forget that. All right. So moving on from there, we've got some other stuff that's gone on, chat. As far as things that may be getting abolished, well, it's kind of like there's some kind of hanky-panky going on. So the House Ways and Means Committee and one of the bills they're getting ready to pass, there was some inserts put into it. There were some inserts placed into a bill, and it was funny because the Brady campaign and everybody else is losing their goddamn minds over what's going on. So, yes, what was being proposed? Well, initially, it was to remove and lower the tax on suppressors, which you're like, okay, cool. But the House Ways and Means Committee got in the way of that. And it was also going to delist short-barreled rifles. And it was going to reduce every other transfer tax to $5. Now, you might say, why $5? Well, for any other weapon, remember, chat, there are multiple classes of NFA weapons. You have, silencers, machine guns, short-barrel rifles, short-barreled shotguns, any other weapons, and destructive devices. Many of those have a $200 transfer tax. So making them, I'm not saying, making them, buying them, transferring them, $200. Some of them only have a $5 transfer. Any other weapons, for example, it's a $5 transfer tax. So that was the reason why you're hearing $5. And some of you are thinking, mega based. Yes. So what happened? Well, the big thing happened was the House Ways and Means Committee started fucking with it and caused a lot of problems. Well, the Gun Owners of America and other groups got involved in this, and they were like, no, gut the NFA. Like, knock this shit out. Like, let's take care of this. And right now, there has been a push to remodify the NFA at this point, and it's going to be epic. Epic. Here's what they're looking for, yes. And nothing's happened yet. Nothing happened, but they were screwing with it. Clyde wants on. Is that Clyde nipping at my chair? No. They're fucking around. Louis, leave him alone. He doesn't want to play right now. Okay, Aaron, leave Nick alone. He doesn't want to hump. Okay, buddy? All right. So anyways, this is what the Gun Owners of America put out, and this is what they're trying to get put in there, and this is what this is what we want. You want to strike. What are we striking here? Well, they're striking a couple things from the NFA. So elimination of certain National Firearms Act taxes. So they're amending it to, they're striking a shotgun having a barrel length of 18 inches or less, meaning short-barreled shotguns. 2, a weapon made from a shotgun, as such weapon is modified, has an overall length of less than 26 inches, or barrels of less than 18 inches in length. Another definition for a short-barreled shotgun. And then we have 3 and 4, cover short-barreled rifles. Awesome. Short-barreled rifle being any rifle having a barrel of 16 inches or less than 16 inches. And then a weapon made from a rifle such has a modified overall length of less than 26 inches or a barrel of less than 16 inches. And then striking any silencer as defined under 921 or 18 U.S.C. 921. Think about that. Think about that, chat. That is fucking huge. This is good stuff. It's all hopium, chat, but you need some hope in your life. Okay? We need some hope in your life. Now, one of the things I think has a better option of happening here are some of these things. Shotguns no longer being treated as a destructive device. And some of you might say, well, what do you mean? And I've talked about this before, chat. anytime you make a shotgun or you have a shotgun, it has a barrel diameter of greater than a ½ inch. Okay, any firearm with a barrel diameter of greater than ½ inch that's not black powdered is a destructive device under federal law. Why don't shotguns have to be, why doesn't your regular shotgun have to be registered? Or my 870 that's sitting here in the corner, why does that not have to be registered? Because the Secretary of the Treasury, or now the Attorney General, because the ATF falls under the DOJ, makes a determination that shotguns have sporting purposes. And we talked about that before. Sporting purposes. Okay? And this is where you see it here. And they're trying to eliminate this idea of being suitable for sporting purposes. They want to strike that. They want to get rid of this part, the sporting purpose exemption. That's why, for example, the USAS 12 is a destructive device. And you have to pay an NFA tax for that. So why a street sweeper? And you guys have seen them. They're the drum-loaded shotguns. They are destructive devices because they don't have a sporting purpose. There was an issue for a while in the early 2000s, Saiga 12s. If you had a Saiga shotgun, that was considered a destructive device. So the importation, they weren't forcing new registrations, but the importation was limited and stopped. There are many ways. So technically in America, every 12 gauge, 10 gauge, and 20 gauge shotgun in America is a National Firearms Act item. And think about that. There are over 10 million Remington 870s that were manufactured. And that was over 10 years ago. Think about how many Mossbergs have been made. And then just think about throughout the decades. All the, back through the 20s, like I have basically when your local hardware store company in your town would get a bunch of shotguns made and then they would sell them. Like I have a double shotgun that is in 1 million pieces right now. I'd love to put back together. It kind of broke. But the old no-name shotguns from Stevens and wherever, LC Smith, all of them are technically destructive devices. But getting rid of that would be amazing. That's actually, I think, very doable. That one I could see happening. They also want to reduce NFA transfer taxes. And we're going to switch to green so you guys can see this a little better. They want to reduce NFA transfer taxes. So what are they going to reduce them to? Well, they want to strike the $200 for each firearm transferred. And it shall be at the rate, and they want to do it by going $0. Kind of like how Trump said your income tax return, you'll just write I win on it and you send it in. Well, there you go. They also want to amend other parts of it, other parts of the NFA by striking 200 and inserting 0. They want to amend things saying that in the case of registration or license requirements under state laws, any person who requires these options will be treated as if they had registered them with respect to things. Because here's an issue. The way it works in many states, and including Ohio just says, how do you make sure machine guns are illegal? Well, that's all it says is how do you own a machine gun here in Ohio? And Ohio just says, follow federal law. We mirror federal law. Well, if the federal law gets wiped out, does that mean machine guns aren't legal anymore? That becomes an issue. So they've looked at that and they've come up with a game plan. So this is something also that could happen. They also want to introduce no person or federal firearms licensee shall be prohibited from transporting, selling, or delivering a short-barreled rifle or shotgun if it's not subject to taxation. So they're trying to prevent problems in the meantime. So, guys, some of this is probably doable. Some of this is doable. Johnny Osprey says, give me federal preemption to state-level bans on NFA items. I don't need to see. That's not. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. Peyton says the NFA needs to be crossed out, period. I agree, but that's not happening. Remember, chat, you are not going to be able to walk in. You would need, once again, you would need a Congress full of Rand Pauls. And I'm not even sure Rand Paul would do it. But like you walk into the House Ways and Means Committee right now and say, I want to ban the NFA completely. And you say, well, what's your bill, Mr. Martin? And it's one page. I hereby abolish the National Firearms Act. And I hereby abolish, 18 U.S.C. 921 onwards. You know what's going to happen? They're going to laugh at you and they're not going to support it. So it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But it would be amazing if it did. It would be amazing if it did. So I wish it would, but it's not going to happen. Sadly, it's not going to happen. So sorry, chat. Sorry about that. Reads a week 5. Thank you. I thought Holy Trump was going to disband the IRS. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm still going to vote for him anyway. The amount of scaring, the amount of pain, and and like on Twitter, you can hear it. The amount of mental anguish he has caused is worth every vote. It's totally worth what I voted for. What are the laws on owning a functioning Nebelwerfer? I mean, you guys don't know what a Nebelwerfer is. It werfs Nebels. Nebelwerfer is basically like a little launcher the Germans employed that they could roll around on a little trailer. That's a destructive device. And then every round you make for it will be a separate destructive device. And you would probably need a federal explosives license to make and store those rounds on hand. Now, that's probably where you need to get an SOT so you can get a variance, because otherwise you have to engrave every fucking thing you make, and that wouldn't be a good idea. So yes, it's the Screaming Mimes. Yes. So when are we getting civilian-owned nukes? Soon. Brooks saying, is there a political capital to remove the requirement to tell the ATF you're taking an item over state lines? That's an ATF internal decision. That's an ATF thing. The ATF could say we don't care anymore, which I think that's probably going to come about very soon. The ATF's going to say, just do whatever the fuck you want. We're not going to enforce it. So I'm hoping so. Yes. Robert Barnes says protected under the 30th Amendment. Well, yes. Oh. So we will have a Cabbage Patch picker. All right, guys. So moving on from there, we got a couple other things we're going to be getting into. And the troubles for the California bar. Now, guys, we talked about this. The California bar exam was apparently a disaster. The proctoring software didn't work. The proctors were shitty. The company that ran and administered the test is being sued for the way they administered the test. Well, now we're coming to the problem of not only was ChatGPT involved in writing the test, Clyde's trying to jump on Louis' back like he's a horse. There's a... Now imagine this. Imagine this hypothetical. You took a test along with everybody else, and they graded all the tests, but they graded and gave you the wrong grade. Okay, so the way it works, the way the test works, the way the bar works generally, if you're out of law school and you graduate in the spring and you take the bar over the summer, you work like in a law firm. They might say, well, hey, we're going to pay you to study. Or you work for them you do a little bit of work for them and you're studying. Or places will be getting conditional hire upon your passage, and you just have to go study on your own. So you take the bar exam, and it turns out you failed. So you have to call your employer and say, hey, guys, hey, law firm, Alan Jackson, or, hey, Attorney Anetti, you said you wanted to hire me to work for your firm. Well, I failed the bar. Guess what they're going to say? Too bad. See you later. We rescind that offer. I'll hire someone else. Now, imagine that happens. And then a little bit later, You get a call from the state bar and they say they messed up. They messed up. They gave you the wrong person's grade. They gave you the wrong person's grade, chat. They gave you the wrong person's grade. Are you going to call and say, hey, Attorney Anetti, I passed. Actually, can I have my job back? Now, why am I bringing that up? And it says, just lie. It's what any lawyer would do. Okay, well, guess what happened in California? A minimum of 3 bar exam takers were scored on others' work. Now, when there's 3, guess what? There's probably a lot more. So, and remember that they're saying this now. So, they came out on Wednesday and they said this happened. They said the scores didn't change. Now, here's where I find, like, this is where you're like, are you really sure? The scores didn't change when their exams were matched later with the answers they wrote. Really? Are you telling me that their scores didn't change at all? That seems like that defies the statistical odds. That seems like that defies statistical probability that you can take random tests and grade them and people will get the same score. But also remember the test was shittily written too. I find this very hard to believe. I find this very, very hard to believe. That just seems statistically impossible or highly, highly unlikely. They said 2 failed and 1 passed. Now, but they did also point out that the scoring concerns did change outcomes for some. And they said 4 people have passed after it caught a failure to properly impute scores. So they're like, oh, well, 4 other people got fucked. Huh. How does that work? And one of the guys who did this, he's been spending months advocating for the exam takers. And he's like, hey, I got a call. And he said, you know, and they told him a change. And this guy's like, is this a prank? You know, and imagine that. Like, you're sitting there and you've already been told you failed. And they're like, wait, it turns out you have a passing score, or you should have. And this guy lost his job at a med mal firm when he was informed he hadn't passed the bar exam. The firm did tell him he could return, but not everybody does. You work for big firms, that doesn't happen. Or like you trying to get a job in the U.S. Attorney's office or at a prosecutor's gig. It's gone. Job's been filled. I mean, that imagine the strain on that. You know, the guy said this almost sucked the passion out of me. And it's already a damaging thing for the public and the profession. I mean, that is so fucked up. God, I can't imagine that. I would have been like, yeah. Bamala saying a similar thing happened in Kentucky in 2020 when they first did the uniform bar exam and went for the multi-state bar exam. Well, yeah. Oof. Huh. Is it true the Bar Association is full of shit libs? The American Bar Association, yes. But not every state has a bar association you have to be a member of. Like, I'm voluntarily a part of the Ohio State Bar Association for the, you know, free tools you get as part of your membership. Like, it's $30 a month and you get access to, you know, case software and everything. But no, your local bar associations are actually pretty cool. But yeah, like at the at the top level, yeah, it's a bunch of shit libs. But imagine that. I tried multiple states, need to spread the risk. Yeah. But yeah, imagine that. And these 4 other people which means, you know what that means if there's 4? That means there's even more. That means there are even more. You didn't just fuck up a handful of times. But look how bad this all got fucked up. Because of that, they had to adjust the scores. So when adjusting the scores, 55% of applicants passed the test in February after the score boost. So, it's just, the 4 most recent ones, they had to take the retake. There was a retake exam given to them because they were so impacted by the test software crashing. It's impossible to score. One retaker passed after the score for a missing answer was imputed by statistical analysis. 3 passed after incorrectly getting zeros on retake essays. They submitted because the numbering on 2 of the essays had advertently been switched, which means all of them need to be checked. And that means, obviously, if some people wrongfully were denied, that means some people were wrongfully approved. Now, there are some states where if you test at the borderline, so in Ohio, when I took it, it was, what was it? It was 405. You had to have 405 points to pass the Ohio bar in 2014. If you got 405, fine. You got 405.1. Cool. You're good. If you got 404.9, you got to regrade. And you still might pass on the regrade. You might lose. I know people who had a regrade and they ended up passing, but I also know people who got a regrade and they got a lower grade. Became like a 402. You're like, womp womp, which sucked. But there are many states, well, not many, but there are a handful of states. New York was one of them for a while, the longest time. If you had let's say, for example, 405 is the goal. You have to pass that line. If you have a 405 or a 406, you were automatically regraded. If you barely passed, they regraded you. And you may initially have passed, and they'll tell you initially passed, but we had to regrade you, and now you fail. So bar nonsense is not the first day. That is not the first time, yes. 404, license not found. That's funny. Yes. So, is the bar contractor going to suffer any liability? Well, the state is suing them. But I think these people could sue him. So, negligence at some point is negligence. So, yeah, guys, just remember, this thing in California is just a never-ending horror story. And that just sounds so fucking scary. You bust your ass like that. And then all of a sudden, they're like, womp, 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 womp. Okay. So, moving on from there, we have a Bryan Kohberger update. And this is huge. So, if you guys know, Bryan Kohberger is out in Idaho. He's accused of having slice and dice time with those 4 kids in Idaho, which, once again, it's a very high suspect that he did it. Well, if you guys were not aware, Dateline did an expose, and they did a very big thing here. Well, here's what happened. So Dateline did a program related to this case, and it was broadcast on The Terrible Night on King Road on May 9th. Okay, so what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at today, May 15th at 2 o'clock. So a document and records hold order. Big thing here, chat, is an order. This means it came from the judge. Now, judge does not format in justified alignment, which we all can't be perfect. But he says, based on sensitive information, not publicly circulated, that was reported during a recent TV program related to the case, and the defendant, Bryan Kohberger, it appears likely someone currently or formerly associated with law enforcement or the prosecution team violated the court's non-dissemination order. Such violations not only undermine the rule of law, potentially by persons charged with upholding it, but it also impedes the ability to seat impartial jury and will likely substantially increase the cost to be borne by the taxpayers of Lotta County to prosecute this case by extending the time it will take to seat a jury and possibly require a period of juror sequestration. So the court needs to find the leak. And in doing so, it orders this. It is hereby ordered. Ordered. You're going to see, chat. Oh, no, something's going to happen here. There's something happening here. It says that all persons who at any time, past or present, work directly or indirectly by employment, contract, consultation, or otherwise, for or on behalf of any law enforcement or prosecution agency engaged in the investigation or prosecutions of persons for the murders. Notice prosecution of persons. That's always get interesting. For the murders that are subject to the instant case are hereby prohibited from deleting, discarding, overwriting, destroying, altering, otherwise making unavailable any records, files, documents, metadata, messages, emails, texts, direct or private messages, phone logs, or logs of communication, whether made or kept on a work-owned or personal account, device, or message app, that in any way relate to or document the fact or substance communication with third persons, including representatives of the media or other people outside of law enforcement that relate to or concern the investigation of Bryan Kohberger. Or involve documents given. So collected the documents. It says all such documents that could constitute a document, even if it's uncertain whether it meets that criteria, shall be preserved and must be protected from deletion until further order of the court. And he says it's further ordered that within 14, he's like, I want to do it 14. He's like, nah, fuck that. 7 days. 7 days. He just let the prosecutor and be like, nah, nope, I'm not giving you that much time. Suffer, prosecutor, suffer. Just saying, we're getting right into it. We're getting right into it now, man. Getting right into it. The state shall submit to the court in camera a list of all individuals within the law enforcement and prosecuting agencies, past and present, who have had a chance to access any of this investigation, including not limited to surveillance videos of suspect vehicle 1, the records for his cell phone, and the content of his cell phone and other electronic social media devices, his search history, photographs, and other information, or any other information referenced in the above-mentioned Dateline episode. The state is further required to provide a copy of this order to all individuals and document that has done so. Failure to comply could result in a finding contempt and other criminal or civil consequences. Could also be, and I would argue if I'm Bryan Kohberger's team, sanctions. Suffer prosecutors. And then within 7 days, the state must also provide the court a written plan designed to address and prevent the unauthorized disclosure in the future. So we're going on a mole hunt, chat. The judge is going on a mole hunt. Woo, buddy. That's going to be fun. Yes, David Hinkett he's right. It is in fact you who will serve them if you want to know the truth about it. Mr. Prosecutor, suffer. Oh. Yes, nothing but contempt for everybody involved. Almost every time, yes. I'm hoping they figure it out. I hope you're figuring it out. I hope they're figuring it out. Somebody did it, and I hope they get fucked royally for it. And if I'm Bryan Kohberger's team, I'm filing motions of sanctions now. You poisoned the jury. Mistrial. Sorry. Done. It's over. I'd ask for a dismissal. Prosecutorial misconduct. Go for broke. And guys, I know you mentioned this or knew about this before. I'll be going on with Kirsha once Karen reads over. And we'll be going through some of the other Bryan Kohberger hearings and other stuff that's out there. she's been wanting to get into that. And we've got like all summer long, it's going to be, me and Kirsha going through it. While she's not out there busy crushing the shit out of Vice and a bunch of shitbag troons, she wants to go over Bryan Kohberger stuff. So we'll do that. I will just say, like I said, chat, like what Kirsha did to Vice, like combo breaker. Yes, Corshi for the dub. Yes. Don't build towers in our chat. Well, yes, please don't do that. So I still don't think Bryan Kohberger did it. Yes. So, Lolita Smiles says, it over that documentary? Yes. Yes, we're going on a potato hunt. Yes. So I'm hoping some asses are made to sting over this. In a good world. So. All right. 7 days, that's suffering, yes. This is the only time I've had clothes on since 2.0 left. Yes, how did you know? Yeah, that's all right. I went to court without any clothes on. Oh, God. All right. Now, moving on, chat. Moving on from there. Pray at 12 and say, am I going to assess Supreme Court today? No. I'm going to save that for Saturday. It didn't look good. Amy Coney Barrett was not siding with the good guys, but I kind of also thought the idea of challenging birthright citizenship is not going to go where. That's, like I said, that's like asking the Supreme Court to make machine guns legal. They are not going to overturn it. But we'll see. We will see. Penson Peggy says, I'm interested to know way more about Bryan Kohberger. Well, there's a lot to go out there, and there's a lot to cover, to go through. And, as the summer's like the perfect time to get into it. We'll be ready, and we'll be getting through it there. So we will be doing that. But thank you for hanging around, Peggy. I saw you saying you need to cover Bryan Kohberger, Sean, as I was doing it. So I was like, perfect timing. Perfect timing. So I guess I want to know like who he is. Well, he's a bit of a special guy. We'll get into it. So that will be the game plan coming up here. Another case of a judge kind of getting involved in some things out there. Well, is the judge out in Wisconsin. So if you guys remember, Hannah Dugan is the judge out in Milwaukee. She helped escort and usher out a poor little immigrant away from ICE. So what is she looking at here? Well, there was a complaint filed against her. Remember, she helped usher the guys out the side door while she lured the ICE agents away and made them go talk to another judge. Well, she's facing some problems now. Yeah, Steven, we're going to do that Saturday. We'll do that Saturday afternoon. Because like I said, it's just, there's not enough time to cover it because it's a full in-depth oral argument. I'll see if Kurt will join us because it'll be a fun one too. But anyways, Judge Dugan was indicted by the feds. She was indicted by a grand jury for a couple of counts. And it was filed May 13th. So she's charged at, and what did she do? Well, she not only concealed EFR, a person whose arrest and warrant had been issued, after notice of the fact the warrant and process had been issued. And she did that in violation of 18 USC 1071. So what exactly did she violate? You guys are saying, well, what the hell is that? Well, it's concealing a person from arrest. And you're not allowed to do that under federal law. So count 2. She did corruptly or endeavor to influence a pending proceeding, which had been before a department or agency of the United States. Being conducted by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, which ICE is part of. How did she do that? Well, she confronted members of the ICE task force and falsely told them they needed a judicial warrant to effectuate his arrest. And that's true. They don't need a judicial warrant. They say upon learning they had an administrative warrant, she made them leave the location, the hallway, and go to the chief judge's office. While she was doing that, she addressed the case off the record while the members were talking to the chief judge, and they directed the counsel to go through the jury door. And now here, this part I don't think is a violation of law. That part's not a violation of law. Advising counsel they could appear by Zoom for the next court date. That's not really fair. Like, the judge can always grant video time if she wants to. She can grant a video hearing at any point. That's not illegal. That is 100% not illegal. I think that one's bullshit. She's allowed to say, I'm not, hold on, chat. 2.0 messaged me, so I was messaging back. But yeah, this one here, part E, that's not illegal. She could always do that. Suffer fed boys, fuck you, go find them. The rest of this, though, yeah, she's, that's not a good look. So that's a violation of 18 U.S.C. 1505. And 1505 is obstructing the hearing, proceedings before departments or agencies or committees. I don't know how that's necessarily going to work there. I think that one's going to be a little... I think that one's going to be a stretch. So she's going to be in trouble there. So, David says, but otherwise legal conduct could become illegal if it's done to further action. Yeah, I don't know. So, but anyways, moving on from there, the judge introduced a very stunning and brave move here. I'm sure her people and her attorneys and people on Twitter today were cheering this on as a pro gamer move. And it's like, yeah, I don't think this is the pro gamer move you guys thought it was going to be. So what did they do? Well, they filed a motion to dismiss. They filed a motion to dismiss. And here's what happened. So she moves for an order dismissing the indictment. This is no ordinary case, and she is no ordinary defendant. Okay, God, we're already doing this. So she was arrested and indicted for actions taken in the immediate vicinity of her courtroom involving a person appearing before her as a party. The government's prosecution is virtually unprecedented and entirely unconstitutional. Really? Well, it doesn't happen all the time. That's why it's unprecedented. It violates the 10th Amendment. I'm sure Hannah Dugan gave two fucks about the 10th Amendment before this case happened. I'm sure all her attorneys gave half a fuck about the 10th Amendment before this case happened. It's kind of interesting how that works. And it goes against the fundamental principles of federalism. We care about federalism now, do we? We care about states' rights. Interesting. The problems with the prosecution are legion. But most immediately, the government cannot prosecute her because she is entitled to judicial immunity for her official acts. Immunity is not a defense to the prosecution to be determined later by a jury or a court. It's an absolute bar to the prosecution at its outset. See United States, Trump v. U.S. And they're like, I'm sure they typed this up and they were like, that's right, Orange Man. Take that. I'm sure that's what they did. I'm sure that's what they did. I'm sure that's how they did it. I'm sure whoever did this was like, bam, take that, Mr. Trump. I'm sure he did that and was like, I've got this. Okay, so what happened? Well, what are they arguing here? And it's like, that's not going to work because it wasn't. Is her official act to do that? Was that all of her official act? I don't think so. This is a bad argument to make, but, they're running with what they got. So she reserves her right to seek other relief by other motions. But the immunity and federalism must be resolved swiftly because the government has no basis. The prosecution against her is barred. They say the court could dismiss this for different reasons. So the indictment begins with concealing a person from arrest and obstruction charges. The alleged conduct ranges from directing people's movement in and around the courtroom to advising a party he could appear remotely. Like I said, they're giving them ammo with that. The complaint alleges a more cohesive story, and pertinent part alleges that on Good Friday, Judge Dugan was presiding over her docket. Among the many defendants with hearings was Eduardo Flores Ruiz. I think federal agents arrived and they tried to execute the warrant. A deputy in the courtroom claimed that judge directed him to leave through the jury door. He emerged from the same doorway and a few feet from the courtroom doors. Yes. The federal law enforcement saw him, followed him, and tried to arrest him. And they had to arrest him after a foot chase. Even if, contrary to what the trial evidence would show, well, really, Judge Dugan took the actions the complaint alleges. They were judicial acts for which he has absolute immunity for criminal prosecution. Judges are empowered to maintain control over their courtrooms, specifically in the courthouse generally. So is this judge going to say that you can't enforce warrants in the courthouse anymore? That's a very weird stance to take. Can you arrest people in the courthouse anymore? Really? So are people allowed, like, if somebody gets convicted, they can't be arrested? Is that the argument you're going to make? I don't think so. So the issuance of an order removing persons from the courthouse is an ordinary function performed by judges, but she didn't remove people. She distracted them. And they say judges are entitled to absolute immunity for their acts, but without regard to the motive for which those acts were performed. Judicial immunity is not complete. Guys, if you watch John Bryan, the civil rights lawyer, the judge in West Virginia that physically went and did a searching inventory of a guy's house herself, lost judicial immunity. Judicial immunity is pretty much absolute, but it could still be taken away. And they say judges of record have been entitled to absolute immunity for official acts with a few exceptions not applicable here. Okay, but what were these ones? Because you won't say it. You won't say what these are. You guys see Star Chamber? That was an actual thing in England. One of the underlying casus belli for the English Civil War and the removal of Charles. But notice they're not telling you what these cases are about. Say, therefore, she has both immunity from conviction and immunity from prosecution. I don't think so. The essence of the immunity is its possessor's entitlement not to have to answer for her conduct in court. Well, she does. She does, though. Say, Congress did not abrogate this common law immunity in 18 U.S.C. 1071, and as it did in 18 U.S.C. 242. So they're saying that, you know what, you can prosecute a judge for civil rights violations, yeah. But is she going to argue? And I guess this is the argument when I saw this at the time. Does that mean a judge has immunity from every federal law except for 18 U.S.C. 242? So does that mean the judge can make a fucking machine gun in her courtroom and not be prosecuted for it? Does she have judicial immunity? Could the judge possess, traffic cocaine in her courtroom? I guess she's got immunity because it's not listed in the drug statutes. I'm just saying, like, that is a very poor argument to make, because, like, they're just saying that. They're saying there's no congressional intent to remove that bedrock immunity from state judicial officials. So yes, and by that logic, that means every judge could basically do what they want under federal law and not be held accountable because, well, it doesn't say we can't do it. They say it's doubtful that Article 1 powers would extend to criminalizing the actions of state court judges in their courtrooms. So is that it too? You have special federal immunity too because McGovernment? Is that how that works? McGovernment? Criminalizing the official acts of a state judge controlling your courtroom would implicate all the concerns that motivated the 10th Amendment. So are they also now arguing that state level officials can never be tried for federal crimes? Interesting argument. And they say nothing in the indictment alleges any persons violated constitutional rights that implicate the unique concerns of the Reconstruction Amendments. They say the court doesn't need to decide what Congress could have abrogated. judicial immunity in these two cases because Congress didn't do so. And they say the problems of the indictment run deeper. Immunities aside, the indictment runs afoul of the 10th Amendment and constitutional principles of federalism. Notice what they're saying. My judge is immune because of my federalism. So they're saying that it's only for enumerated areas of the Constitution. All other powers are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. That includes the general police power. And they say, unsurprisingly, the American judicial system empirically is almost entirely the realm of the states. Federal civil jurisdiction is limited. We're not there. Federal criminal jurisdiction is limited, yes. That's why over 99.4% of criminal cases in this country are filed in state courts. That's a fucking nonsensical argument. It's a nonsensical argument. How many more judges are there? How many more courts are there? What is the size of these state level judiciaries versus the federal judiciary? That's a fucking awful, awful, retarded argument. I don't even know what logical fallacy that is, but it's a horrible one. So, but yes, they're reaching directly without consent into a state courthouse, disrupting proceedings, and interferes with the official duties of an elected judge. Did they really? The judge was elected by the people to adjudicate their disputes and administer the laws of Wisconsin. Yes, she wasn't empowered to break the laws of the federal government. So the federal government violated Wisconsin's sovereignty. More states' rights, chat. More states' rights. When it disrupted the judge's courtroom, and it's violating Wisconsin's sovereignty now with this prosecution. The court should end the violation of Wisconsin's sovereignty and dismiss the indictment. Really? Should they dismiss the indictment? I don't know if they should. I don't think they should. I don't think they should. As a practical matter, counsel for Judge Dugan stand ready to file briefs and to participate in an evidentiary hearing if either both will aid the court, but they stand on the observation that any further proceedings other than the immediate dismissal are barred by official acts of judicial immunity. Regardless, in the event this prosecution moves forward, she reserves her right to supplement this motion with other briefings and other filings submitted within 20 days of arraignment as provided by the local criminal rules. Respectfully submitted by her, the defendant, and then her attorneys. Boom, 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 boom. Her other attorney, boom. I'm sure she didn't pay for all these guys. I'm sure these guys are all helping out. I'm sure they're all party hacks for the Democrat Party. Boom. So there you go. Has she tried a Frank's motion yet? No, I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will. J-Rock says denied. Yup, denied. Denied. Such horseshit. It's not going to work. You don't have that kind of immunity to fuck around. Remember, it's not unlimited. You know, what I think will probably happen is there's going to be a push to get her a pardon. So, are you assuming her gender? Yes. I just did. So, we'll see what happens in her case. There is an up there, the basic updates though, chat. She did show up to court today. And she was in front of a magistrate. She entered a pleas. So what did she do? Well, the court orders the grand jury materials disclosed no later than 1 business day prior to trial. She entered not guilty pleas on counts 1 and 2. Motions are due by the end of the month. Responses are due in the first week of June. Replies are due the second week in June. Final pretrial conference is set for July 9th. And that, guys, this is not normal. Federal stuff moves pretty quick. Jury trial set for July 21st. And then the court, there is pursuant to Federal Rule 5, the government's required to provide all Brady material and its progeny. So that means Giglio. That means Kyle's. Whitley. That means all of it. So That is the pretrial order. That is what's going on there. Everything else has a protective order there. Lolita Smile says, "Can you be convicted of a crime and still be a judge?" Yeah, I could see that. Now, would your governing bar association or your Supreme Court let you? Probably not. So, um, let me quick here in chat. Is she in custody? No, she got released. She shouldn't be in custody. I mean, although it would have been hilarious if the FBI raided her at the fucking crack of dawn and the FBI had tipped off fucking Fox News, because it'd be like, wow, that's what happened. That's what happened to Roger Stone. So, yeah, she's following the local rules of federal criminal court despite immunity from following the rules. Well, as funny as that sounds, you're not allowed to just go ahead and ignore the court rules and do what you want. That's a great way to fuck your client over. So, yeah, James O'Keefe as well. Yeah, it's like, how does that work? How does that work, Judge? How does that work? So, suffer, Judge, suffer as we go through this. So, you can't feel bad for her. Don't feel bad for her. Just, is what it is, chat. Is what it is. Hold on here one. Okay, so I need to remove this one. We're making good time here, chat. We are making good time. Hang on while I ask the answer a legal question. No, somebody messaged me, so I was trying to respond. What are your bets for the Newark folks? I think that one's a little bit of everybody. That one's kind of gay all around. But you know what? Hey, these people wanted to say, like, hey, they want to be in La Resistance. La Resistance is not a safe job. La Resistance never did. You want to pretend you're a freedom fighter? Well, freedom fighters have it rough. You might go to jail. Oh well, that's what you wanted to be a freedom fighter. You want to be a gangster. Well, it's time to be a gangster. So that is how that goes. Okay, where are we at right now? Speaking of other judges, there is a interesting. This one, I know some of you guys are going to say, "Oh well, fuck this. It's all gay. You don't care. You don't care about what's going on." This is actually kind of a big deal because this is something that needed to get fixed, and it hasn't happened. Rikers Island, and if you guys don't know what Rikers Island is, Rikers is the city jail for the city of New York. And it's literally an island in the city of New York. Like, if you guys have never seen it before, we're gonna, we'll do a little bit of a on the map now here. So chat, this is obviously, if you zoom out all the way, this is New York City. This is obviously, this is why is this? Hold on here. So like, this is Long Island. And then the boroughs. Then you have like Manhattan right here. That's Manhattan. And then obviously over here is New Jersey. Up here is Connecticut. So what are we looking at here? Well, we're going to zoom in because right in the heart of, and guys, look, this is Manhattan. This right here is Brooklyn. All the way up over here is Queens. You have Rikers Island. It is literally a real fucking island. It's an island in the middle of New York City. And Rikers Island is right next to LaGuardia Airport. And you guys are saying, well, do people ever escape and try to swim away? The East River is very cold. It's very nasty. And No, most of it'll probably kill you. Like that's still decent distance to swim. So yes, Rikers Island. You hear him talk about in Law and Order, all the other things. This is Rikers Island, and this is all jails. These are all jails, dormitories, detention centers, all this stuff. Some of this is getting torn apart and torn down, but all this is to get in there. And that's not all of it, chat. That's not all of it. Like, this is a massive complex. Okay? It's a massive complex. And it's so big, they have a prison barge that they were using. They have a barge. That's part of it. That they have a prison barge. It's a literal prison barge. And they've used it forever. And you wouldn't think it's a real thing, but it is a real thing. Like, they ran out of room on Rikers, and they had to use this motherfucker. They had to build this. This is part of Rikers Island. They have a prison barge. So. The barge is in Brooklyn, how I remember. Yes. But this was part of this is part of it. This is part of it. Like, that's how bad the jail situation is. That's how bad it is for the jails. Okay. Now, moving back in, like, there is a bridge. You take the bridge in. But this is a horribly overcrowded prison. Okay. It's been going on forever. It's been a thing that's very, very common. And it's almost all people that are being held pre-trial detention. So, if you guys know any of the stories, you may have heard names like Khalif Browder. Khalif Browder was a guy who was held in Rikers Island from 2010 to 2013. Guy was there the entire time waiting trial. He spent nearly 800 days in solitary. But he had basically been stuck there for years and years and years. So, and then, like, he suffered in that jail. After his release, he ended up hanging himself. And here's the thing, like, jail shouldn't be fun, but jail shouldn't be so fucking awful that it's disgusting. Yeah, he spent 800 days in solitary. Derna says they hold people up to 1 year. Yeah, if you're doing a bullet, you're going to be there. But the primary thing is, it's all primarily pretrial detainees, the majority of people there. So, it shouldn't be bad. I mean, it should be bad. Like, it shouldn't be fun. But it shouldn't be a disgusting shithole. If we are going to take somebody and force them to live in a cage, guess what? It's our responsibility now. They should be protected. They shouldn't be attacked. This guy spent 3 years in trial for, a ticky-tack robbery charge. Like, it's not only then, it's throughout COVID. There was massive overcrowding. It became an awful thing. Remember, I'll bring this up because I know some of you are going to chuckle fuck about people stuck there. Remember, we covered the Cuban store owner who stabbed the guy who attacked him? That old guy had to spend days on Rikers Island. Like, at the height of COVID, when it was overcrowded and fucked up. And guess what? Like, that might have killed him. BAM law says the convicts are usually strict on cleanliness. In prison, yes, and in jail, they try to be, but they are not, like, Rikers Island has really bad fucking situations. It's inhumane. That's the problem on Rikers Island. You can't do it. Like, prisoners are suffering, yes, but prisons and jails should be humane. If we're going to take care of these people, we have to fucking be fair to them. Well, what happened? What happened? Well, there's been a federal lawsuit. There's been federal things going on. And finally, a federal judge has taken it over because the New York City government failed to comply. They have seized control over New York City's jail system. So that happens. There was a consent decree, but the judge, said, if you're going to fucking ignore it, I'm going to appoint someone to correct the conditions in the Department of Corrections. So it's not only Rikers Island, it's the Tombs, all the Department of Corrections for New York City. This independent manager is going to have full control over the jail for a 3-year period. So, and that's because the court determined they were in contempt and nothing had been done. And I think this is actually a big deal, chat. I think it's a big deal. So, there have been a lot of deaths at Rikers. COVID was bad, but just the overcrowding, all the shit going on in... Do I have a dog behind me? I do. Okay, jeez. I just want to roll my chair and roll over one of them. But it's the problems at the jail. The problems there have been so documented. And it's not just that jail. A lot of jails have these problems. Now, the jails aren't as bad as Rikers where there's deaths. But, guys, there are many jails. For example, the jail, you'd be surprised, but like the jail in Toledo, Ohio, the Lucas County Jail, is under a federal court order, federal court supervision, because it's such unconstitutional conditions. There's a massive 8th Amendment issue. It was so overcrowded. So basically, since like 1980, the federal court has had authority over the jail. Now, how do they do that? Well, the federal judge doesn't want to sit there and fuck around with it. So the federal judges went to the sheriff and said, hey, sheriff, you have authority to run the jail as you see fit. If there's too many people, you have authority to release them despite what a court may order. So despite what Toledo Municipal Court or Common Pleas Court may order. Now, every once in a while, that has resulted in like a guy with a murder charge accidentally getting cut loose. That doesn't always happen. But generally speaking, a lot of people at lower level things get cut loose pre-trial to alleviate overcrowding. And this is one of the reasons why you see pushes for cashless bail. Because of shit like this. If the city can't maintain it and won't spend money on it, these things happen. This is the direct result of not spending money on your government. People then turn around and say, fine, well, then we're just going to have no bail. And we won't put people in jail, period. So there's the push and the push back. Chugi Show says, how can they be overcrowded when MAGA complains they release people too often? Just seems, I don't know, ironic, I guess. Well, they do release a lot of people. That's the problem. They release people who probably shouldn't be, and then they jail people who shouldn't be. And Dern is saying, yes, Rikers nasty, but compared to other jails, not bad. I mean, there are a lot of county jails that are bad. Remember, we went over the DOJ report on the Fulton County Jail, where like guys were tunneling through walls into other pods and other parts of the jail to attack and fight each other. That they were stealing pipes out of the water closets and making weapons out of them. Doors weren't closing. That the guards weren't going into certain rooms. And certain parts of the jail were basically uncontrolled. Somebody had died long enough the bugs were on him and festering on him. Yes, there are a lot of major jails in America where there's all kinds of bullshit that's going on. This is just one of them. It's the biggest one. But the Fulton County Jail, like major jails in America, but even if you went, a lot of small-time jails and small-town jails and county jails and city jails are going to be really bad. Now, overall, a lot of places keep up to the standards they have and work on them. But you're going to, it's not uncommon to find like bad conditions in a jail. Bad conditions in a jail are not uncommon. And Chugi, thank you for that. I appreciate your super chat, by the way. Jefferson Post says, while on a vacation to Bermuda, I saw drawings and depictions of prison hulks the British used from prisoners from all over the world. Yes. 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 Yeah, it is a thing. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. So, yeah, the Oz, that prison is terrible. Okay. Is this the Basketball Diaries? Am I channeling Jim Carroll? I mean, I guess the idea of the Eighth Amendment, like, like, oh, you can't like the Eighth Amendment or you like the darkies. Like, no, that's not how that works. Because if I ever get stuck in the jail, I don't want it to be a fucking shithole. You should be worried about that too. God forbid you wrongfully get arrested. Do you want to have to worry about getting your asshole stretched out all night long? No. Do you have to worry about people beating you into a coma? No. Do you have to worry about getting dysentery because they accidentally fucked up a warrant in another state? They accidentally put you on it. Or if you get sick and attacked, you're going to be like, well, I guess that's what you get for being in jail. Ho, ho, ho. No, you wouldn't. You would say, please, Mr. Big Black Guy, don't fuck me. And he's going to say, don't care. And you're like, oh, well. No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, God, I wish these jails were better and safer. So, do city jails still exist? Yes. Mm-hmm. Cleveland, there's quite a few towns, quite a few places out here like that I practice in that have their own city jail. Now, it's hard to do because it costs money because you have to follow standards and things like that. But for example, one of the cities that I practice in, the municipal court, the police department they have jail cells, not just holding cells, but long-term jail cells. They take care of there's feeding, there's sanitation. They have, they get jumpsuits and bedding. It's funny though, because their food is, they have a massive freezer and they just like, you get a Stouffer's heated meal for your 3 hots and a cot. And you get a little juice drink for your lunches and dinners and breakfasts. And it's funny because guys who are stuck at that jail beg to go to county jail because while county jail sucks, it sucks less than city jail. Yes. There's also a city jail where if you're stuck in city jail and they normally don't keep people, they always send them to county jail. But if you're stuck, the handful of times people are there, they end up with like Subway for lunch. And then they get like a sack lunch for dinner and a sack lunch for breakfast. So, yeah. Jordan says, don't do the crime, don't do the time. Well, innocent people also get put in jail too. And if I'm there and then they dismiss the charges against me, then what? So, yes, Rikers Island is worth more money rezoned with the high rises on it. Sure it is. But then where are you going to put the new jail in New York City? They need a jail. Where would you put it? There's no other place. So, Stouffer's, yeah. Stouffer's has a big, one of their big factories is here in Cleveland, and that's like their headquarters. But yeah, they heat up, they have frozen meals. That meets all the nutrition requirements and sanitation requirements for food preparation in a jail. So yeah, they fire them up in the microwave, and mealtime is handing out fucking TV dinners, basically. It's a real fucking thing. It's hilarious. You're like, that doesn't sound too bad. You're like, compared to regular jail food, yeah. But I can imagine very quickly that gets fucking old, especially if you've been in jail a lot. So, no SpaghettiOs, no. 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 Put the jail in Kay's neighborhood. Yes. Yes, New York City is the jail. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Have I ever eaten jail food before? Yes, I have. When I worked in the prosecutor's office at the one place, the courthouse was attached to the jail. And, they had a full kitchen that made stuff anyway. And, like the sheriff's, like you could get food made. Like they had like a whole like menu of stuff. But every once in a while, like twice I did it. I was like, can I have the tray? And I tried it and I'm like, this ain't fucking good. I don't fucking want this. I had a little bit of it. I'm like, yeah, I don't want that. You guys have never had it, like Nutriloaf, among other things. Ugh, you don't want it. You don't want that. You don't want that. Let me tell you. Yeah, there's no 4 a.m. ramen. Let me tell you what. Sean eating with his people. Yeah, never eat the tray. Yeah, well, I've only had a couple of trays before. You never want to eat them. So, have you ever been in jail? Yes, a couple of times. So, Job Well Done says no shit took a tray. Respect. Yeah, I did. Like I said, I only did it twice. I was like, I'm like, I'll try it again. I'm like, oh my god, it still sucks. Stace says, heck of a diet plan. Actually, jail food is high in calories. It's kind of shitty food, so you don't generally like losing weight is not always an option. Like somebody like me would probably lose weight, but a lot of skinny people actually gain weight in jail. But I've had more than one time with a client, like, hey, we need to get you closed for trial. What size are you? And I'm looking at them and they're like, scrub top for the jumpsuit. And it's like, yeah, I gained a little bit of weight here. So like we have to guess what size clothes you need. So have you ever been held in contempt? Well, I've been like shown cause before, but no, I've never been taken to the back like Brian Steele. So Half Irish says, speaking of innocent, hella. Excited Others having a Zach Anderson stream on Saturday. Well, there we go. Shinobu says they get free protein shakes in prison. Yeah. All right. Well, that said, chat, like I said, I think the whole Rikers Island situation it's bad. And if you guys have never, like, here's a nice shot of Rikers. Like, all of this is prison. This is all prison. And with the backdrop of beautiful New York City in the background, like, aw, it looks cute. Yeah, it's a prison. So, yeah. So, Socrates Fool says Stouffer's beats green bologna in a hot tent while wearing pink skivvies. I don't know, man. Bologna's pretty fucking good. It's hard to argue with. It's Bologna. How can you argue with Bologna? What about Picard's Island? Boo. Boo this man. Boo this man. Oh my god, that is awful. That is so bad. Oh. All right. Well, got a lot of judges doing a lot of things here. So moving on to our next story, guys. Like I said, we're going to wrap this up, try to get in under 2 hours and get out of here to get the rest of Karen Reed going. We are moving on to another judge doing something. And that is, well, actually, it's not another judge doing something. This is an interesting situation here. So this, and I don't care that it's from a Better Way 2A, they're a bunch of commies, but this is a guy out in New York. Okay. This is out, it's not like New York City, but a Doordash driver pulled up. And this guy comes out on his Ring camera and he tells the guy, like, no, we didn't order anything. Okay.
Go! Go!
And there we go. So you tell the guy to go, and you're just like, bop, bop. Well, it's not done yet. Not done yet, chat. There you go. There you go, chat. He didn't delete the video. No, because he's a dumb fuck. No, so hold on real quick, chat. So, yes, Benjamin's right. He ordered that yesterday. Oh, Bronco had a fun time with this video. I mean, this guy should go to fucking prison. There's no, what self-defense argument do you have? And this is the thing, like, just because someone shows up in your driveway, you do not have the right to attack them. I've seen these videos before where people turn around in driveways and somebody comes out the door. I've even done it myself. I think it's funny when you pull up to a driveway, it says like, no trespassing. You can't turn around here. And you just pull in and then you back out and drive off. And they come out and they get all mad. It's like, fuck off. This guy, though, where was the threat? Where was the threat requiring him to start shooting at somebody? There wasn't one. Now think about it. If you were the driver, could you have shot back? I definitely would argue yes. Those bullets go very far, and you're within range of him the entire time. So if he had returned fire, that would have been 100% justified. 100% justified. This guy's an idiot. Yeah, he needs to lose his guns at a bare minimum. No, he needs to go to fucking prison. Because then Beatty's saying, did he hit him? Oh, yeah. Yeah. He definitely hit him. He definitely 100% hit him. It definitely fucking happened. He definitely hit the guy. You can't just do that. You can't just do that to people. You can't do that. And it doesn't work that way, you guys. You can't just shoot people. So, and who is this guy? Well, he's a town official, and he's a basically kind of like a highway. He's some guy, government douchebag. And he shot the guy in the back. He shot the guy in the back. So, yeah. Did he die? No. He's still alive. Tech Guy South is correct. You can only do this to revenuers. Now, my chat, am I telling you to go shoot liquor control agents? Maybe. I don't know. You'll have to figure that one out yourself. Yes, he did hit him, which I'll give him credit for. Those are pretty long fucking shots one-handed. Like, the guy does get some credit. He is taking shots at, we'll go back to this real quick. He racks it. Warning shot doesn't count. But he's one-handed.
Go!
That's a bit of a distance here. I mean, look at this, chat. That's a bit of a distance, I would argue. That's a bit of distance there. One-handed. That guy's got it. He's got his pistol fundamentals down steady. No cap. Look at it, just one-handed. I mean, that car is at least, I'd say probably, would you guys agree that's probably at least 50 yards away? I think that's like 50 yards away. You guys think 25 yards? Okay. And now even further away, and he fucking drills the car. So, yeah, he did that, and he shot the Doordash guy in the back. And, yeah, it was taken from his own Ring camera. The guy was lost and asking for help. So, the guy's firing warning shots in the, and then he yells at him, tells him to go. And it matches the events the guy told everybody that happened. He just started shooting at me and he thought he was going to get killed. And I get it. The guy's back home after posting bail, which will be nice, but I mean, you should go to prison for that. You should go to prison. But yeah, the guy's hospitalized and he's going to have to go undergo surgery. So, yeah, it's have fun in prison, you fucking cocksucker. I mean, if you're that retarded, you're just gonna shoot at somebody who pulls in your driveway, and you're just You deserve to be in fucking prison. Imagine what happens if his wife burns the fucking meatloaf. Imagine that guy's, wife. God, imagine how dangerous he is. Bob says, even aiming a gun at someone should get you sent to prison. Well, if you break into my house, I'm aiming a gun at you. You mean unlawfully aiming a gun at somebody? Yeah, maybe. But, yes, he thought he was the superintendent of the town. He's the highwayman. Did the guy finish his delivery? No. But yeah, have fun defending that one, because that's going to be a tough sell to a jury. I was scared. Have fun selling that one. That's going to be a tough one. Yes, Louis and Clyde are fucking around right now, chat. So. So just you have to exercise self-defense intelligently. Don't be this guy. It's very easy. Don't be this dude. Okay, guys. Now we're getting the last two stories here real quick. We are getting to these. EDW Raptor for $5 says, did he learn nothing from Boogie? No. But yes, don't do what Boogie did as well. Don't do warning shots into the ground. Be careful if you live near a school. Yes, don't do that. Over on Will Makita over on Locals posted this. Guys, this whole thing about Silencer Central. People were saying they weren't lobbying against the NFA bill. No, they were doing lobbying in the years before, trying to get NFA taxes reduced and stamp money to be used towards like paying for more people to process forms. So I know people are worried about that, but these guys are not paying for lobbyists to stop things. I know that was all over Twitter, but I think that should just be clarified. That is not correct information. So, with that, yes, aim. Well, that guy one-handed just aim, pulling a freaking Hans Landa. It's like, au revoir, Shoshana. Is Boogie still on YouTube? Yes, he's still on Lolcow Live. So, okay. So, it's a bad optics for him, sure, but they didn't do a good job taking care of it. All right, guys. So moving on, we have the Menendez brothers. You guys remember Lyle and Eric? Sentenced to multiple life without parole, plus years for murdering their parents with shotguns back in 1989. They went to trial, got a hung jury. They got retried in 1995, round time OJ. And they were sentenced. They were never coming home. Well, there had been a push recently to get that done. And they are now resentenced. We covered those hearings. We talked about those hearings. I think we even watched them. They have been resentenced. That doesn't mean they're coming home, but they have a chance now because they're eligible for parole. So what happened? Well, they had a multiple day hearing that went on. And I didn't see any of it was being televised, but they've been resentenced to life with the possibility of parole. Now, what happened? Well, there was a judge. He had a multi-day hearing, had family members and other people spoke in support. And now they can go in front of a parole board. With that said, though, Gavin Newsom's having a separate clemency hearing for them next month, which may change things for them. There was a big issue, and we covered this before. The new district attorney, who's trying to be tough on crime, argued against a lighter sentence. But the judge, and they even said that those motions we had supporting this, we want to withdraw those. And the judge said, sorry, you already did those. I'm not allowing you to withdraw them, which I think is actually a pretty base move for a judge. You've already done this. People have relied on that. You don't get to take it away. So I think that was a proper action by the judge. So what does that mean? So the resentencing and all of this allows them to possibly be released. And they've been in prison more than 30. Well, it's been more than 35 years ago. They walked into their mom and dad's, mansion and killed them with a shotgun, shooting them more than a dozen times. So they've been in for a long time now, guys. They've been in for a long time. Nearly 40 years. So there were 3 legal paths that were being pursued. The resentencing track was one of them. The second path is clemency. And clemency is, the governor supporting, hey, they need to get re-examined. And the parole board hears clemency petitions. And they may recommend to the governor to give them clemency, which means their sentences will be commuted. Just like Trump did for some of the January 6 people. He released them, but they didn't get a pardon. They got a commutation of their sentence. Meaning their sentence was deemed served, but they still had to suffer the penalties of their crimes. So we don't know if that's going to happen. The third thing was a habeas corpus petition filed by their lawyers who claimed that their dad had sexually assaulted them and it would have altered the trial at the time. There were problems with this. We went through that. The district attorney had gone through the whole thing saying the timelines don't match up. Some of the evidence they already knew at the time. So they probably aren't going to get that. So the Menendez brothers probably, well, I bet they will get released given it's California. So we will see. They should have just bought them the Nintendo. Yes. Now, what happens from here? If that hearing is available, and I don't think it is on YouTube, we will watch it, but I don't think it was streamed. But I would love to see it. I would love to see it. So, Tim Poole says, I was in favor of this till I found out it's a pet project of Mark Garagos. I'm not sure how to feel now. Well, is it still right? Regardless of who's cheering it on, you should be, it's still right. Yeah, I agree that dad didn't sexually assault them. The evidence doesn't make any sense. They already had a bunch of this evidence at the time, and it just never got presented. So, yeah, I don't think it worked. I don't think it was legit either. So, so Half Irish says, I figure they've been in long enough. Yeah, I can see that too. It's a long time. So, a Ricky Martin member said the same. Yes, a member of Menudo. What you're trying to say, Sally Port? Yes, the Latin boy band, super band, claimed that Jose had assaulted them, but still didn't work. Joe Schmo says, I'm good friends with Mark Garagos' landscaper. Miss Garagos is nice according to him. So, but yes, the Menendez brothers may be getting out. So, something interesting there. Now, kind of getting to the bigger thing tonight, Chad, for us to cover is Becky Hill. Now, if you guys remember the Alex Murdaugh trial, Becky Hill was a clerk of courts in the case, and she had, if you guys don't remember Becky, this is her here. This is Becky Hill. This is her in all of her glory. She was the clerk that helped the judge during Alex Murdaugh's murder trial. She also then ended up writing a book behind closed doors, the story of the trial. And turns out she was just a corrupt piece of shit like a lot of politicians are. And, well, Becky got her comeuppance. Because this is at the rehearing in front of the former Supreme Court judge they had down there. And Becky testified. And through the investigations, Becky's had a bit of a bad day. Here, chat. What happened? Well, Becky got indicted. And then she got a bunch of charges filed against her. So what happened? Well, this came from SLED. You guys remember SLED? The dumb fuck investigators who ruined the Alex Murdaugh case. And came across as almost incompetent as the Massachusetts State Police. Well, the guys from SLED. Well, they charged Becky Hill, Mary Rebecca Becky Hill, with perjury, obstructing justice, and 2 counts of misconduct in office. So what did they do? Well, they referred her charges out. And what were the charges? Well, there were a couple of them. There were a couple of charges that were made against her. And these are not like she's, you're like, wait, what the hell did she do? Well, they cover these things here. It's very interesting. It's very interesting what she did, and it just shows you how big of a dumb fuck she is here. Shows you how much of a dumb fuck she is. So this is one of them here. Now, what happened? So this talks about that on January 29th, 2024, she did willingly and unlawfully give false, misleading, or incomplete testimony while under oath in a court of law, while it was on the record in a judicial, administrative, or regulatory proceeding. And that was when the former Supreme Court Judge Jean Toll asked her, saying, did you allow anyone from the press to view sealed exhibits? She said no. She said, no, ma'am. That statement is inconsistent with the events of February 28th, 2023, when she did release or make available sealed evidence to photographers or third parties. So there you go. There you go. Good job. Good job, Becky. That's a felony. Hope it's worth it, bitch. I mean, how retarded? Like, all chasing clout. All chasing clout, chat. So from there, she also had misdemeanors. And this one's obstructing justice. And she said, while preserving evidence during the course of the murder trial, she did release or make available sealed evidence to a third party in violation of a written court order. So she obstructed justice. Somebody else's justice. Good job, Becky. And then from there, she's charged with misconduct in office. So what did she do? Well, she had duties of things as a government official. So what did she do that was so bad? Well, she promoted a book which she was an author, Behind the Doors of Justice, the Murdaugh Murders, while using her public office to promote the book on social media, such as being for her own financial gain and in violation of her duties. This one's a little bit chicken shit, but hey, it fits. And then finally, she's got this one here. This one is, buddy, this one's bad. So what did she do exactly? Well, she failed to properly and faithfully discharge her office. She requested and received $9,800 in financial bonuses for herself that were paid from a special fund. Those funds were obtained by her and utilized for her own gain. Furthermore, in March 2024, she received a financial gift or bonus in the amount of $2,000 paid by a check from the clerk of court's office funds and used for her own financial gain. So she wrote a fucking check to herself. Good job, Becky. Good job. James Reed says, I'm surprised it took this long. I'm surprised it happened, period. I'm surprised it happened, period, guys. Now, what happened with her? Well, this kind of breaks it down a little bit more here. This news story here. So, like I said, she's got 4 counts. So what happened? So she showed up at her bond hearing. She was granted a $10,000 personal bond, and the judge deemed her not to be a flight risk, which is true. And then she had to go, she had her 3 misdemeanor cases. Then she went to felony court. She went to the other court for her felony charge. It's funny, though, the judge up there decided not to endorse the warrant to save her from coming upstate. It's like, you know what? The funny thing is she should have to do this for being a fucking cunt. She got a $50,000 personal recognizance bond. And yes, her charges are listed as follows. She lied to the judge. She released those exhibits when she shouldn't have. She used her office to promote her book. And then she paid herself, over $11,000 in personal money. So, and this comes after South Carolina officials gave her 76 ethics violations, you guys. She got slapped with 76 counts of ethics violations. And she did. She was awful. Like the stories of what she would do and how she would do stuff. She's accused of allowing a photo of Murdaugh in a holding cell to be taken. She gave herself bonuses. She used court money to buy lunches for her staff, the prosecutors, and a vendor. Her son is accused of illegally surveilling emails. she let a documentary maker use the courtroom for promoting her book, where she, which was later completely plagiarized. Remember that, guys? That was the funny part about her book. The guy who wrote her book's like, yeah, I plagiarized the shit out of it. It's all bullshit. And it's plagiarized from stories. And the guy who helped her write the book, he's like, it was sad. Seeing the mugshot's really sad. It's a different expression from the lady I once knew. Yeah, you mean the lady who's acting like a fucking scumbag and ripping everyone off? Yeah, so sad. So sad. But yes, if you guys remember, Alex Murdaugh filed a motion to have his convictions overturned. Hold on, chat. Hold on. Now, Alex Murdaugh's filed things. There have been more things filed in his defense. This is not going to change it. They did file a long motion arguing that she influenced the jurors. This is not going to cause it to get overturned. This is not going to get it cause it to overturn. So, I know people are thinking it's going to give Alex Murdaugh a new trial. Nope. It's not going to overturn her case. Not going to overturn any of it, as much as we'd like to think so. But yeah. So, Lone Alaskan saying, I'm not saying Alec Murdaugh is innocent, but going down for murder during a financial crimes trial is whack. Yes, it is. It was bullshit. But it's, that's, he got done like that. But remember, he's not going to. Now, do I agree, though? She probably had a very big hand in him getting convicted. Oh, yeah. So. I definitely think so. I definitely think she did, but I don't think they're going to be able to prove it. Remember, they had those people come in and testify, and they're like, wasn't good. That judge said it was not good enough. P-Dub says, give those doggies treats and pets. Oh, I do. They're just, I'm not paying attention to them right now, so they're fucking around. Louis, can I help you? He's like, hello, fat man. Do you have more treats? I'm like, no, I do not. So he's like, bye. Oh. So even if overturned, Alex screwed in perpetuity with his financial crimes. Yeah, that's the thing. So it's probably not going to happen anyway. Sweet Tooth says, how so? I mean, they aren't going to overturn it. I mean, like, I don't think they have enough evidence to overturn it. And Becky being a complete scumbag is not enough. It's not enough. So who's more corrupt, SLED or MSP? It's kind of a drag race between those two, I would argue. Kind of a drag race. I saved, yes, 2.0 when I saved Clyde from puppy Rikers, yes. Oh. Let's see here. James Reed says, I thought the financial crimes came after the murder charges because of Murdaugh's own attorney. Because Murdaugh is an attorney. Remember, yes, they had a financial crime second, but all the evidence from the financial crimes came into the murder trial. Remember, they just kept on piling on and piling on and piling on all the shit about him stealing money during the murder trial. So they basically tried the financial crimes case twice. So, yeah. Yeah, it was a dirty, dirty trial. And he was a bad man, but it was still a dirty trial. I agree. So, Joe Morris says the internet streaming has been a boon to exposing corruption from state troopers, super mayors, and incompetent judges. Very true. But what's going to happen? What is it going to force people to do is the question. That's the question, chat. That's the question. Yeah, they convicted him on the basis that he was an asshole. Pretty much. Pretty much. And that's another one where the cell phone convicted him. I think that cell phone shit was all garbage. I mean, remember, like, some of the shots had to be from like a midget hiding in a hole and shooting up through the wife. Like, some of it didn't make sense. Some of it didn't make sense. But that is the saga there. So Becky, happy trails, bitch. Have fun with that. Now, her trials will be fun because she'll be a fucking liar the whole time. And then let's see here. But that's it, chat. We are all done. We are all done. So I told you guys this was going to be a quick show. We have the second part of Karen Reed to get to. So we are going to get to that. Apparently it was very good. I was told get ready for it because it gets l'epique. So we will get ready to do some l'epique stuff. On this. Hope she gets a tough judge, yeah. Yes. So let's see if we got any other comments here. Edward Scott says he thinks I live in an imaginary state, so Nigerians been scamming him for Ohio State taxes for nearly 20 years. Yeah. Let me see here. What else we got? Jefferson Post says, sporting purposes, yes, the FUDs are collaborators. 100% they are. 100% they are. Thank you for the super chat. Snoop says, is there any way we could put Mark Levin, Bill Kristol, George Soros, and like the Cheneys on a plane to Kiev? Yeah, but you know what'd be funnier? Fly the plane over the front lines and let the Russians shoot it down. That would be based. That would be mega based.
Was this story based? Yes.
Very based, chat. So, Philip Kogan's saying over the California bar stuff, this is why Suits is the dumbest legal drama, because they could have just shipped him to Cali where you could have been a lawyer without even going to law school. Yeah, it would have taken him forever, though. And sending him out to Cali would have been a tip-off. Tyler Durden says, did Nick and Aaron have a consent accident? I don't know. Was it really an accident if it's love? Keopathic says, I'd rather get eaten by sharks than step foot in New York City. I can see that. I haven't been there a bunch. EDW Raptor says, please tell me the barge is called the Jersey. No. That would be funny. Jefferson Post says we should have the Swedes run the jails. I heard they're nice. Yes, you could be like Anders Breivik and you have a PlayStation and shit in your jail cell. Yes, jails in Scandinavia are very, very nice. McKay for 14 months, or McKay 14's been a member for 9 months. Thank you for the support, man. Says that the delivery driver getting shot at like that is messed up. Oh, it is. And like I said, that guy needs to go to prison. 100% he needs to go to prison. So, Green Top saying, glad to be able to catch a stream after getting back to work. Good. Yes, Cyanide, I thought I said Norway, but yes, Anders Breivik is in prison in Norway. Yes, and it's actually pretty cushy. Real quick chat, we need to get to our sponsors for tonight. Don't want to forget them. First of all, we have the dragonstreasure.com, a haven for tea and anime lovers. But also, if you love soap and you love coffee, go there as well. Help the T-Man out. Use the promo code criminal, you get 10% off your order. Guys, T-Man is really needing it. I guess some things have gone on in his life where he really needs the buy his tea, keep the T-Man afloat. Guys, I've already told him whatever 10% he gets off that, I want him to keep it. He needs to, help him sort out his family issues. So, guys, show the T-Man some love if you get a chance. We got MAF Corporation, MAF-arms.com chat. It's time. We're here. The sunny days are here again. Get those wind chimes going. Promo code POTCRIM for 10% off. Remember, chat, if you put in the additional comments bar that you want Matt to put a big old lipstick kiss on your invoice, he'll do it. In orders over $500, Ivan, the spinning rat, will make an appearance and he will kiss it for you as well. So you have 2 big old lipstick smudges on your invoice. I mean, what more could you want? I mean, like, that's impressive stuff. And then chat, we also have tonight Stoney's Bar and Grill. Right, chat. Stoney's Bar and Grill at 158 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota, chat. That's right, chat. It's Stoney's. It's Thursdays. $2.50 beers. It's bike night tonight. It's bike night every Thursday, chat. Gotta do it, chat. They had Wild Willie's Sandwich Shack. So just think about, chat. You come out to Wild Willie, crank your hog in front of Wild Willie's and have fun. This weekend, chat, they got Griff and the Grifters on Friday. Saturday, they're doing a 100-mile run for Baca, which I don't personally like. The Bikers Against Child Abuse, kind of cringe. But hey, you want to go on a ride for charity? It's there. They got John Theus in the garage. Remember garage? The garage is open, chat. That garage spilling out onto the beautiful new patio. And then Saturday night, Julio Goldstein on the Fireball stage. It's like Fireball. It's like, is that the Fireball, like, sponsored by Fireball Whiskey? It's like, what about, like, why don't we just do, like, the Mad Dog stage if we're doing that? But anyways, chat, go to Stoney's, serving Central Minnesota as the premier biker bar, 30 years running. Can you get a handy from April? Maybe in the bathrooms. Cyanide Cologne says Baca. No, BACA. It's called Bikers Against Child Abuse. It's an organization. It's a real organization. I personally have problems with it. I guess we'll get a rant in right here now. Bikers Against Child Abuse. It's like, who the fuck isn't against child abuse or neglect? For the most part. I mean, most people are. But like, they show up as bikers and they're like, we're there to provide, we're there to be there for people. But they show up dressed like fucking bikers. And they show up and they have their own little jackets and cuts and shit. They don't show up in like polo shirts and slacks to support the families and support child victims. It's like you guys show up as you look like a fucking gang. Yes, but you're there for the prosecution, so it's okay. Guess what? You understand how intimidating that looks? You're sitting there like a bunch of fucking brigands. Well, like, I'm trying to do a jury trial, or I'm trying to, question witnesses and shit. Why aren't you there in, like, polos and stuff? Because that's not what your goal is, ultimately. They operating as a gang. It's intimidation is their game. I don't like how they do it. It's bullshit. I've filed motions before trials to exclude Baca from courthouses, from the court property. We don't allow gangs on. We don't allow intimidation on. And normally I get laughed at, but it's bullshit. They shouldn't be allowed to be there. So, unlike lots of bikers showed up at my dad's funeral to be intimidating. Well, you show up, you're dressed like a biker. Why do you have to be dressed as a biker? Ride your Harley with a polo on and slacks or jeans. You don't have to look like the Hells Angels, but you do for a reason. So, I'm just saying. What gang is Baca? Well, that's their thing. They're an organization. And I don't think they should be allowed to show up dressed up like the fucking Hells Angels, because that's the look they're portraying. Am I actually retarded? Why should you be allowed to dress up and look like fucking brigands in a courtroom in front of a jury? Why should you be allowed to do that? We don't allow other gangs to do that. We don't allow for the appearance of impropriety or intimidation. Don't like it. So, Nick Croy says, do you know badly a gnat hurts your eyeball at 80 miles an hour? You can still wear your helmet. You can wear your glasses. But wearing a polo and slacks doesn't hurt you. So that's what matters. Yeah. Didn't say you couldn't wear a helmet. Nobody says for $2 reviewing Smash JT's suit. I'm literally 12 pages of it. Nobody. Yeah, we did cover it. We covered it covered a little while ago. I know Ron Coleman filed a motion to dismiss, and I don't think there's been any real update in it since then. But yeah, thank you for being here, man. Yeah, we did cover it. They've got him on the ropes. There was some corrections in the new complaint that was filed, the amended complaint that was filed by Alyssa Mercanti. And, there's a couple of things in there that are hilarious, but most of it's a rehashing. But I think we also covered that at the same time. We covered the JT stuff most recently. So, I I think so. I forget. We did it probably about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. But I promise you we did do it. But thank you for being here, man. But yes, you are a big part of the suit. Yes, you are. You are. You should be happy. So let Smash took a swim with his gaming chair. What? I don't get it. Let me see here. Okay, let's see what else we got. Stephen Cooper is saying is laid back lawn tomorrow. Yes, it is, from what I understand. Nick Starro, Nate, and I think some other people will be available. I'm on the road. I gotta go see a lady. I'm the court. One of the courts nearby came to me and said, "Can you do like an emergency thing here? We've got to I gotta go see somebody for a possible guardianship thing, and maybe I have to file stuff." So I'm on the road tomorrow. It's going to be all day tomorrow, so I'm not going to be involved. We will be back to normal time for 6 o'clock for Karen Reed, though. I will tell you that. Derna says for $5, bicycles and Europeans are effeminate, so motorcyclists are just mechanized gayness. She said it, not me, chat. She said it, not me. I have to see a man about a horse. RRR says, when are we getting the body cam? Sean? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what Noel's plans are. I asked him, he said it's going to be Le Epique, but that's about it. That's all I know right now. I've not been read in on anything. Oh, he threw his chair into a pool for a goal? Cool. Why would he do that? But hey, that's an interesting goal. So Joe Neese says, be respectful. Oh, yeah, there you go. Thank you. So, chat, that is it. We are going to get ready. Head over to Karen Reed. We're going to do Karen Reed Day 16, Part Dose. It's going to be an interesting one, chat. I've been told it is really good, so we're going to go over there. Hold on here. All right, what are we scheduling this for? We're scheduled for 5 minutes from now. That'll work. There we go. Okay, chat. So that is it for us. Give it a 50% chance I redirect. I'll redirect your mom. That's what'll happen here, J-Rock. Thanks for the support. So, glad he caught the end of this. Dual stream and legal mindset, getting updates from a Korean court. Yes, apparently Johnny Somali is going to trial in July, but apparently he didn't contest the charges, so he's guilty of everything now. Did the ME check John for a leaky balloon knot? I think we'll get to that. I think we'll get to that. Bella says, I swear to God, not one of you better be part of the woke right screeching about the 86 message. Oh, I agree. And if you guys don't know, we'll cover this real quick. James Comey talking about the 8647 thing. Regardless of how you want to do it, it's still free speech. It's still protected speech. He just sounded like a little bitch as he it sounded like a little bitch because he's like, oh, I saw these on the beach. And then he's like, I don't know what this message means. And then he's like, I didn't know what it means, so I took it down. It's like, bullshit. Just say it. Fucking stand behind it. Stand on your fucking business, man. You want to talk about fucking loading up fertilizer in a truck? Fucking stand on it. You want to talk about clipping the president? Fucking stand on it. You can say shit. Don't be a bitch. But Comey was. Comey was a bitch. But remember, Comey also hid from Donald Trump behind curtains because he was scared. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about here, it's the thing was 8647, and 86 means get rid of. In parlance of people doing things, that means kill or eliminate. Typically, when you're 86, like if you work at a business and you 86 something, that's one thing. But 86 can also mean you want to take care of something. So if you guys didn't know, this is what James Comey put up on his Instagram. He's like, I found the shell formation when I was walking along the beach, and I thought it was interesting. I didn't realize it was anything. J-Rock says, this come back to bite the right in the ass. Yeah, we'll see. But yes, it's protected speech. But James Comey acting like a little bitch about it. Just be fucking brave about what you say. Be brave about what you say. You know, say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. But he didn't do it because he's a bitch. No, this is James Comey, the former director of the FBI. So with that said, chat, we are all done. I'm going to direct you guys over to the Karen Reed trial. We are going to get started on that tomorrow. Saturday, we are going to listen to SCOTUS. Sunday, we got Formula One, but we are also going to do the local stream. Guys, like I said, I know. Sorry about the locals thing. I will work on trying to make it up as much as I can here. Thankfully, Karen Reed's going to be over quick. The defense thinks they only have a week and a half of presentation, and the state is almost done. So it should be done pretty quick. So here we go. With that said, until next time, chat, you know, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. You know, if you're the Menendez brothers, you're still probably going to be guilty, but you're probably going to get clemency. You're probably going to get your sentence commuted. You'll probably get parole, but you're never going to be pardoned. So you're still going to be guilty. That guy in New York, fucking shooting at people. Guilty too. Have fun in jail, asshole. Good night, chat, and I will see you over on the other stream. Take care.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the